The Grand Slam of North American Wild Sheep has been around since Grancel Fitz coined the phrase in 1947. Less than a decade later, the Grand Slam Club was founded by Bob Householder in 1956. The recipients here tonight prove the Grand Slam is as important today as it was to Grancel Fitz and Bob Householder in the beginning. We'll be breaking this large group of Grand Slammers into groups, beginning with the regular Grand Slammers, then archery Grand Slammers, Lady Grand Slammers, and finishing up with multiple Grand Slammers. We are pleased to finally get to recognize Grand Slammer number 1065, Barry Culp of Pennsylvania. The Doll Sheep was first for Barry, and he took that ram in the Yukon back in 1989. In 1991, Barry took his Stone Sheep in British Columbia, and in September 2000, he became a three-quarter slammer after taking a California Bighorn also in BC. Barry achieved his Grand Slam in November 2002 with the Desert Bighorn from Sonora, Mexico. Alberto Fusella of France is Grand Slammer number 2084. He began his quest with the Doll Sheep from NWT in 2011. In 2014, he hunted in British Columbia to take his Stone Ram. He became a three-quarter slammer the following year with an Alberta Bighorn and closed the deal with a Desert Bighorn from Mexico in 2019. It was a Rocky Mountain Bighorn taken in his home state of South Dakota that earned Dane Wheelboard Grand Slam number 2103. He took that ram on a self-guided hunt in 2019. Backing up, you see Dane with his Desert Bighorn from Nevada taken in 2010 as his first North American ram. The Stone was next for Dane, and he got it on a hunt in British Columbia in 2016. Finally, we'll finish up Dane's Grand Slam presentation with his Doll Ram from NWT taken in August 2017. Grand Slammer number 2133 is Mark Knaup of Oregon. He's up next, and we'll begin with his first ram towards an eventual Grand Slam, a Doll Sheep from the Yukon taken back in 2006. Moving along, Mark scored on a California Bighorn in his home state in 2015, and the following year, he added a Stone from British Columbia to his list of North American rams. Mark completed his Grand Slam in January 2020 with a Desert Bighorn from Mexico. It was a Desert Bighorn from Texas that earned Billy Kreider of Georgia Grand Slam number 2140. He took that ram in May of 2020. Billy's first ram was a Doll Sheep from NWT taken in 1990. Billy's next ram was a Stone Sheep from BC, and he took it in 1993. In 2005, Billy became a three-quarter slammer after a successful hunt in Alberta's Wilmore Wilderness, where he connected on his Rocky Mountain Bighorn. Next, we call Brian Wyndham of Texas to the stage to receive Grand Slam number 2165. The Doll Sheep was first for Brian, and he took that ram on a hunt in Alaska back in 2006. In 2008, Brian connected on a Stone Sheep in BC to become a half slammer. The Rocky Mountain Bighorn was next for Brian, and he took that ram in September 2010. Brian took ram number 4, a Desert Bighorn in Sonora, Mexico in November 2020 to round out his Grand Slam. Alberta's TJ Schwenke now holds Grand Slam number 2179. His first ram was a Rocky Mountain Bighorn from his home province of Alberta, which he got on a self-guided hunt. Up next for TJ was his Stone taken on a hunt in BC in 1998. TJ became a three-quarter slammer in 2010 after taking the Great Doll Sheep in NWT, and he finished up the Grand Slam like so many others with the Desert Bighorn from Sonora, Mexico in February 2020. Grand Slam number 2180 belongs to Tony Caligari of Iowa. The Doll Sheep was first for Tony. He took that ram on a hunt in the Yukon in 1989. His first Desert Bighorn was taken on a hunt in Arizona in 1990, and he got his first Stone Sheep in 2003 on a hunt in BC. Tony achieved his first Grand Slam in 2020 with a California Bighorn from Idaho. Tony will be recognized for his second Grand Slam later tonight. We're pleased to recognize Grand Slammer number 2182, Rusty Brines of California. He was a Yukon Doll that got Rusty started on his Grand Slam journey, and he took that ram back in September 2010. Moving closer to the present, you see Rusty with his Desert Bighorn from Sonora, Mexico. That was taken in February 2019, and in September of the same year, he scored on a Rocky Mountain Bighorn in Alberta. Rusty achieved his Grand Slam in August 2021 with a Stone Sheep from British Columbia. Grand Slam number 2183 belongs to Michigan's David Ratliff. David's first ram toward his eventual Grand Slam was a Doll sheep from the Yukon. The Desert Bighorn was next for David. He took that ram in January 2015 on hunt in Sonora, Mexico. Later that same year, David became a three-quarter slammer after taking his stone sheep in British Columbia, and he finished his Grand Slam with another BC ram, only this one being a California Bighorn. Chris Settlemeyer of Nevada has been assigned Grand Slam number 2185. Chris began his quest for an eventual Grand Slam in 2016 with a stone sheep from British Columbia. California Bighorn was next for Chris, and he took that ram right here in Nevada on a self-guided hunt. Chris became a three-quarter slammer in 2018 after taking his Doll sheep in the Yukon, and his Grand Slam ram, a Desert Bighorn from California, came in September 2021. That completes Group 1. And now for our next group. Next, we'd like to recognize Grand Slammer number 2187, Tom Niederer of Michigan. Tom's first two rams were taken on back-to-back hunts in August 2019. First up was Tom's Doll ram from the Yukon, and from there, he traveled to British Columbia to get his stone sheep. As for the Bighorns, Tom's Desert was taken in January 2021 on a hunt in Sonora, Mexico, and he completed his Grand Slam in September 2021 with a Rocky Mountain Bighorn from Alberta. Now we'd like to recognize Grand Slammer number 2191, Jeff Eno of the Yukon. Jeff completed his Grand Slam in September 2021 with a Rocky Mountain Bighorn from Alberta. The Doll was first for Jeff, and that Yukon ram came in 2013 on a self-guided hunt. Jeff hunted Desert Bighorns in Sonora, Mexico in 2018 and took a heavy ram there. And we'll finish up with Jeff's stone sheep from the Yukon, which was also taken self-guided. It was a Rocky Mountain Bighorn from Alberta taken in 2011 that got Lloyd Stenderson of Alaska started on his quest for an eventual Grand Slam. Moving along, Lloyd hunted Desert Bighorns in New Mexico in 2012 and scored on a great ram there. The stone was next for Lloyd. He took that on a hunt in BC in August 2016. Lloyd achieved Grand Slam number 2207 in September 2018 with a self-guided Doll ram from his home state of Alaska. Next, we called Harold J. Ballot of Wisconsin to the stage to receive Grand Slam number 2208. It all began in August 1995 on a hunt in Alaska's Brooks Range, where Harold took his Doll sheep. Harold used his crossbow to take his Rocky Mountain Bighorn in Wyoming in 2019. Next for Harold was his Desert Bighorn from Sonora, Mexico. He took that ram in February 2021. Harold took his fourth ram, a stone sheep from BC, in September 2021. Grand Slam number 2209 has been permanently assigned to Russia's Sergei Yesterhemsky. Sergei's first ram toward his eventual Grand Slam was a Desert Bighorn from Sonora, Mexico, taken in November 2015. The Doll was next for Sergei. He took that ram on a hunt in the Yukon in August 2016. Less than a month later, Sergei connected with a stone sheep in BC to become a three-quarter slammer. And finally, in January 2022, Sergei took a Rocky Mountain Bighorn in Montana to round out his Grand Slam. We're pleased to recognize Grand Slam number 2210, Douglas Wilson of Ohio. The Doll sheep was first for Doug. He took that ram on a hunt in NWT back in 2010. Moving along, Doug took a stone in the Yukon in 2012, and in 2013, he traveled to BC, where he found success in collecting a Rocky Mountain Bighorn. Doug completed his Grand Slam in 2014 with a Desert Bighorn from South Baja, Mexico. The Grand Slam journey was a relatively quick one for Alberta's Mark Buchatti, who holds Grand Slam number 2211. It began in January 2020 with the Desert Bighorn from Sonora, Mexico, and ended in October 2021 with a Rocky Mountain Bighorn from his home province of Alberta. In between those two bighorns were Mark's thin horns. His Doll ram from the Yukon came in September 2020, and in August 2021, Mark traveled to BC and took a fine stone ram. We're pleased to recognize Theron Soroka of Alberta for finishing Grand Slam number 2213. Theron's first ram was a Great Doll sheep from NWT that he arrowed in August 2011. The Rocky Mountain Bighorn was next for Theron, and once again he used his archery equipment to take that ram in his home province of Alberta. Moving along, you see Theron with his Great Stone Sheep from BC taken in 2020, and he achieved his Grand Slam in 2022 with the Desert Bighorn from Sonora, Mexico. Grand Slam number 2214 was issued to Wisconsin's Sean Keck after he took a Desert Bighorn in Carmen Island, Mexico in February 2022. Sean's first ram was an Alaska Doll Sheep taken in 2015 and in 2018. He took a Stone Sheep in British Columbia as his half slam ram. Sean's three-quarter slam ram was a Rocky Mountain Bighorn that he took on a self-guided hunt in Montana in September 2020. Arizona's Richard Kasperzik holds Grand Slam number 2215, which began back in August 1997 with a Doll Sheep from the Yukon. The following year, Richard became a half slammer after collecting a Stone Sheep on a hunt in British Columbia. The Rocky Mountain Bighorn was next for Richard, and that Alberta ram was taken in September 2000. Finally, you see Richard with his Grand Slam ram, a Desert Bighorn from his home state of Arizona, taken in December 2021. Grand Slam number 2216 belongs to Frank Greiner of Pennsylvania. Frank started his Grand Slam journey in 1996 with a Stone Ram from BC. The following year, Frank added a Doll Sheep from the Yukon to his Grand Slam list. Frank's third ram was a Desert Bighorn from Sonora, Mexico, and he achieved his Grand Slam in September 2012 with a California Bighorn from British Columbia. That completes Group 2. And now for our next group. Next, we call Michael Lyons of Illinois to the stage to present him with Grand Slam number 2217. We'll begin with Michael's first Doll Sheep, which was taken in Alaska back in 1990. In 1995, Michael traveled to BC to get his Stone Sheep, and he took his first Rocky Mountain Bighorn on a hunt in Colorado in 2000. Michael achieved his Grand Slam in January 2022 with the Desert Bighorn from right here in Nevada. We'd also like to recognize Grand Slam number 2222, Jed Brown of Texas. Like so many others, Jed began his Grand Slam with the Doll Sheep. Jed actually has two Doll Sheep, but his first ram came in Alaska back in 2001. Next up for Jed was his Desert Bighorn, and that ram from Sonora, Mexico came in 2019. Jed became a three-quarter slammer in August 2021 after taking his Stone Sheep, and he completed his Grand Slam in April 2022 with a great Rocky Mountain Bighorn from Montana. Grand Slam number 2223 belongs to Jeffrey McMurdy of Idaho. Jeff began his Grand Slam journey in 2014 with a Stone Sheep from British Columbia. The Doll was next for Jeff, and he took that ram on a hunt in NWT in August 2016. As for the Bighorns, the Rocky Mountain Bighorn earned Jeff three-quarter slam status, and he got that ram in his home state of Idaho in 2019. Jeff finished his Grand Slam in January 2022 with a Desert Bighorn from South Baja, Mexico. Next, we call Oregon's George Wilbur to the stage to receive Grand Slam number 2224. George kicked off his sheep hunting journey in 1993 with a California Bighorn from his home state of Oregon. The Doll was next for George, and that NWT ram came in August 2001. In 2008, George took a Stone Sheep in BC, and he finished his Grand Slam in December 2021 with a Desert Bighorn from Carmen Island, Mexico. Grand Slam number 2229 was issued to Joe Nobles of Colorado after he took his final ram, a Rocky Mountain Bighorn from his home state, in September 2022 on a self-guided hunt. Backing up, Joe's first ram was a Doll Sheep from Alaska, taken in 2005. Next up for Joe was his Stone Sheep from BC, taken in 2008, and his Desert Bighorn from South Baja, Mexico, was taken back in March of 2013. We're pleased to recognize Grand Slammer number 2230, Craig Mueller of Idaho. Craig's first two rams were each taken in September 2017. The Doll was first, and Craig took that ram in Alaska. Later that month, he traveled to the Yukon to get his Stone Sheep. The Desert Bighorn was next for Craig, and he took that ram on Tiburon Island, Mexico in March 2018. Craig connected on his fourth ram, a Rocky Mountain Bighorn in Alberta, in September 2022. Well, next we'd like to recognize Grand Slammer number 2231, Robert Cerrone Jr. of New Jersey. Like many others, Robert's first North American ram was a Dall sheep, and he took it in the Yukon in August 2018. The Stone was next for Robert. That ram from BC was taken in October 2019. Moving along, you see Robert with his 3/4 Slam ram, a Desert Bighorn from Carmen Island, Mexico, taken in March 2021, and he finished his Grand Slam September 2022 with the Rocky Mountain from Alberta. Rick Young of Oregon has been assigned Grand Slam number 2233. Rick's first ram, a Dall sheep from NWT, came in 1997. He traveled to British Columbia in 2011 and became a half slammer after taking a stone sheep there. The Desert Bighorn was next for Rick, and he got that ram in Sonora, Mexico in February 2021. So the stage was set. In September 2022, Rick achieved his Grand Slam with a Rocky Mountain Bighorn from Wyoming. Well, it was just a 5-year journey from start to finish for Grand Slammer number 2234, Justin Philpott of Texas. Up first for Justin was the Dall ram from NWT that he took in August 2018. The following year, Justin hunted his own sheep in BC and scored on a great ram there. Next up was Justin's Desert Bighorn from New Mexico, which he took in October 2021. Finally, you see Justin with his Grand Slam ram, a Rocky Mountain Bighorn from Alberta. Grand Slam number 2235 belongs to Brian Smith of Colorado. Brian achieved his slam in August 2022 with a stone sheep from BC. His first ram was a home state Rocky Mountain Bighorn, which he took self-guided in Colorado back in 2010. Next, you see Brian with his Alaska Dall sheep taken in 2012. And finally, we'd like to show you Brian with his Desert Bighorn from South Baja, Mexico, taken in 2021. Next, we'd like to recognize Grand Slammer number 2236, Jeff Mancuso of Colorado. The Dall was first for Jeff, and he took that ram in Alaska back in 2001. It'd be another 18 years before Jeff took another ram, but he got a stone sheep in BC in August 2019 to become a half slammer. The Desert Bighorn was next for Jeff, and he got that ram in South Baja, Mexico in December 2020. Jeff completed his Grand Slam in September 2022 after taking a Rocky Mountain Bighorn in Colorado on a self-guided hunt. Grand Slam Club Ovis Executive Director Jason Price of Texas now holds Grand Slam number 2237. He achieved his Grand Slam in September 2022 with a Rocky Mountain Bighorn from Alberta. Backing up, you see Jason with his first ram, a Dall sheep from Alaska's Brooks Range taken in 2015. 2017 was a busy year for Jason. In January, he traveled to Sonora, Mexico and got his Desert Bighorn. Then in August, Jason connected on a great stone sheep in British Columbia. That completes Group 3. And now for our next group. Next, we call Nevada's own Henry Rotz to the stage for Grand Slam number 2238. Henry's first ram was a Dall sheep from NWT taken in August 2018. The Rocky Mountain Bighorn was next for Henry, and he took that incredible ram in Oregon in August 2021. Henry became a 3/4 slammer in November 2021 after connecting on a Desert Bighorn in Mexico, and he reached Grand Slam status in September 2022 with a fine stone sheep from British Columbia. We'd like to invite Karoli Motototis of Hungary to the stage to receive Grand Slam number 2239. Karoli's first North American ram was a stone sheep from BC taken in August 2013. The Dall was next for Karoli, and he took it on a hunt in NWT back in July 2018. As for the Bighorns, Karoli traveled to Sonora, Mexico in 2020 to get his Desert, and he became a Grand Slammer in September 2022 after connecting on the Rocky Mountain Bighorn in Alberta. Grand Slam number 2243 belongs to Alberta's Lyle Wood. Lyle began his quest for an eventual Grand Slam back in August 2013 with a stone sheep from British Columbia. Lyle became a half slammer in 2018 when he connected with a Desert Bighorn in Carmen Island, Mexico. Lyle's 3/4 slam ram, a Rocky Mountain Bighorn, was taken in his home province of Alberta in October 2020, and he reached Grand Slam status in September 2022 when he took a great Dall sheep on a hunt in NWT. Next, we'd like to recognize Grand Slammer number 2247, Howard Bakash of Connecticut. It was a short trip from start to finish for Howard, which started in August 2019 with the Doll Sheep in the McKenzie Mountains of NWT. The Desert Bighorn was next for Howard. He took that ram in Sonora, Mexico in January 2020. Howard hunted Rocky Mountain Bighorns in Alberta and arrowed a ram there in November 2020, and he achieved his Grand Slam with the Stone Sheep in September 2022. Marty Anderson of Idaho holds Grand Slam number 2248. The Stone Sheep was first for Marty. He took that ram back in 2011 on a hunt in BC. In September 2015, Marty scored an Adal ram at NWT, and later that same month, he took a California Bighorn self-guided in his home state of Idaho. 17 years after taking his first ram, Marty achieved his Grand Slam with the Desert Bighorn from South Baja, Mexico in December 2021. It was a Rocky Mountain Bighorn from Alberta that earned Arizona's Michael Don Grand Slam number 2249. He took that fine ram in September 2022. Backing up, you see Michael with his first North American ram, an Alaska Doll taken in 2003. Michael collected a Fannin ram in the Yukon in August 2006, and he became a three-quarter slammer back in 2009 after taking a home state Arizona Desert Bighorn on a self-guided hunt. Richard W. Gurash of Florida holds Grand Slam number 2254. Richard's quest for an eventual Grand Slam began in August 1997 with a Doll Sheep taken in the Yukon. The stun was next for Richard, and he took a dark ram in British Columbia in September 2001. Richard hunted in Alberta for his Rocky Mountain Bighorn in September 2005, and he completed his Grand Slam as well as his Ovis World Slam with the same sheep in October 2022 when he collected a Desert Bighorn in Utah. Next, we called Hal Martin of Idaho to the stage to present him with Grand Slam number 2256. We'll begin with Hal's first North American ram, a Doll Sheep from Alaska, taken in 2009. In 2013, Hal became a half-slammer after taking a Rocky Mountain Bighorn in his home state of Idaho. The stone was next for Hal, and he took that ram in 2018 on a hunt in the Yukon. Like many sheep hunters, Hal finished his Grand Slam with the Desert Bighorn in November 2022 while hunting in Sonora, Mexico. Grand Slam number 2257 has been issued to Matthew Murphy of Texas. Like so many others, it was a Doll Sheep that gave Matthew sheep fever, and he took that ram on a hunt in Alaska back in 2009. In 2012, he took a Rocky Mountain Bighorn in Idaho, and Matthew became a three-quarter slammer in 2018 when he took his Desert Bighorn in Mexico. Matthew achieved his Grand Slam in 2022 with a Fannin ram from the Yukon. It was a home state Desert Bighorn taken in December 2004 that got Colorado's Mike Duplan started on his quest for Grand Slam number 2259. Next for Mike was another Colorado ram, an impressive Rocky Mountain Bighorn taken in 2009. The Stone Sheep was next for Mike, who took that fine ram in August 2018. So the stage was set. In September 2020, Mike connected on a great Doll Sheep in Alaska to complete his Grand Slam journey. That concludes our Rifle Grand Slam Awards, but remember, we still have the Archery Grand Slams, Lady Grand Slams, and multiple Grand Slammers yet to go. Each year we recognize Archery Grand Slams separately. Those slams have their regular Grand Slam documentation number, but they have an additional number representing an Archery Grand Slam. To date, there have been only 87 documented Archery Grand Slams. Brendan Burns of Montana holds Archery Grand Slam number 83, which also happens to be his second Grand Slam. Brendan's first to showcase tonight is a giant Rocky Mountain Bighorn he arrowed on a self-guided hunt in his home state of Montana back in 2015. Next you saw Brendan with his Stone Sheep from BC, taken in 2017, and in 2019 he arrowed a Doll Sheep in NWT. Brendan completed his Archery Grand Slam in 2022 with a Desert Bighorn taken on Carmen Island, Mexico. Grand Slam number 2253 and Archery Slam number 86 belongs to Wisconsin's Dan Evanson. Dan arrowed his first ram, a Doll Sheep from NWT, in September 2019. Moving along, you see Dan with his Desert Bighorn from South Baja, Mexico, taken in February 2020. The Stone Sheep was next for Dan, and he aired that ram on a hunt in BC in August 2022. Dan achieved his archery Grand Slam in November 2022 with the Great Rocky Mountain Bighorn from Alberta that you see here. As with the archery Grand Slammers, we recognize Lady Grand Slammers separately. Those slams also have regular Grand Slam documentation numbers with an additional number representing the sequence as a Lady Grand Slammer. It was a Rocky Mountain Bighorn from Arizona that earned Amy Harris of Georgia Grand Slam number 2192 and Lady Grand Slam number 76. Backing up Amy's first North American ram was a Doll sheep from the Yukon taken in 2011. The stone was next for Amy, and that BC ram came in 2013. Amy took a Desert Bighorn on a hunt in Mexico in 2017 to get to the 3/4 slam mark. Earlier tonight we recognized Grand Slammer number 1065, Barry Culp, and we'd like to invite him to the stage once again along with his wife, Ann Culp, to recognize this husband and wife pair of Grand Slammers together. Ann Culp of Pennsylvania holds Grand Slam number 2212 and Lady Grand Slam number 77. Interestingly enough, Ann achieved her Grand Slam with the 4 rams in 4 consecutive years, beginning with her Doll sheep from NWT taken in 2003. The stone was next for Ann, and she took that ram in BC in 2004. In 2005, Ann found herself back in British Columbia, only this time in pursuit of California Bighorns, as she finished her Grand Slam in December 2006 with a Desert Bighorn from Sonora, Mexico. Cameron Cunningham of Texas now holds 3 distinctions: Grand Slam number 2228, Lady Grand Slam number 78, and the youngest Lady Grand Slammer at just 13 years old. Cammie's first 3 rams all came in 2019. First was her home state, Texas Desert Bighorn, taken in June. Then in August, she traveled to Alaska and was successful in a Doll sheep. In October, Cammie became a 3/4 slammer after taking a Rocky Mountain Bighorn in Montana. In August 2022, Cammie and her family made their way to BC, where she was successful in harvesting a great stone sheep to complete her Grand Slam. That completes this group. When it comes to sheep hunting fever, some people accept the challenge to take multiple Grand Slams, and tonight we have several people who have documented multiple Grand Slams to recognize. Earlier tonight we recognized Iowa's Tony Caligiuri for completing his first Grand Slam, and ironically, he finished his second Grand Slam the same year with a Rocky Mountain Bighorn from Colorado. Tony's second Doll sheep came on a hunt in NWT back in 2014. The stone was next for Tony, and he took that fine ram on a hunt in BC in 2018. Later that same year, Tony took a Great Desert Bighorn in Mexico to round out tonight's presentation. Jim Manley of Oregon recorded his second Grand Slam in 2022, and his 4 rams actually earned him a second 700 Club Slam as well. Jim's second stone ram was first. He took it in 2018 on a hunt in BC. The following year, Jim made his way down to Mexico and found success on an impressive Desert Bighorn. Jim's second Rocky Mountain Bighorn from Alberta was a beauty, and he took it in 2021. Jim achieved his second Grand Slam in August 2022 with a Great Doll sheep from Alaska. We're pleased to recognize Rick Garzoli of California for achieving his 3rd Grand Slam. Rick's 3rd Rocky Mountain Bighorn came in 2014 on a hunt in Wyoming, and in 2019 he scored on his 3rd Desert Bighorn, a great ram from Mexico. Later that same year, Rick traveled to NWT to get his 3rd Doll ram. Rick's 12th ram and final sheep toward his 3rd Grand Slam was a stone from British Columbia taken in August 2022. Next, we'd like to call Nevada's own Alan Means to the stage to receive his 3rd Grand Slam. It was a Doll sheep taken in NWT back in 1991 that got Alan started toward his eventual 3rd Grand Slam. Alan's taken a total of 7 stone sheep and 1 fanon, but his 3rd stone was taken in BC back in 1995. Alan's 3rd Rocky Mountain Bighorn was an impressive New Mexico ram taken in 2003, and he achieved his 3rd Grand Slam in October 2022 with a Great Desert Bighorn from Mexico. We're pleased to recognize avid bow hunter Tom Foss of Alberta for completing both his 4th and 5th archery Grand Slams. Taking a Grand Slam with a rifle is challenging enough, but taking a Grand Slam with bow and arrow takes extreme desire and dedication. The fact that Tom has done it 5 times is unprecedented. In fact, Tom's taken an astounding 24 rams total with his archery gear, and you've been seeing some of the more recent ones on the big screen. Tom is one of only 2 bow hunters to have an Archery 700 Club Grand Slam and is very close to achieving his Archery Super Slam as well. Tom achieved his 4th Archery Grand Slam in 2021 with a Fannin Ram from the Yukon, and his 5th Grand Slam was achieved just the same in 2022. He was hunting with longtime outfitter Dan Reynolds to get each of those great rams. Since the 2022 GSCO convention, Jeff Demoski of Colorado has completed his 8th, 9th, and 10th Grand Slams. It was a Doll sheep from the Yukon that earned Jeff his 10th Grand Slam, and he took that ram September 2022. Backing up, Jeff took his 10th Rocky Mountain Bighorn on a self-guided hunt in his home state of Colorado in December 2016. Jeff's 10th Desert Bighorn was actually the Cream No Batis Desert, taken in Baja, Mexico in March 2019, and his 10th Stone Sheep was a late season ram taken in British Columbia in January 2022. Next, we call George Lawrence III of Washington to the stage for recognition of 2 special Grand Slams. His 10th Grand Slam is Shotgun Grand Slam number 1. George began his quest for Shotgun Grand Slam number 1 in November 2020 with a Desert Bighorn from Mexico. In October 2021, George connected on both a Rocky Mountain Bighorn in Utah and a Stone Sheep in BC, and he achieved both his Shotgun Grand Slam and his 10th Grand Slam in July 2022 with a fine Doll ram from the Mackenzie Mountains of NWT. As for the other 3 sheep that earned George a 10th Grand Slam, his 10th Desert Bighorn was taken in March of 2018, and it was also part of his Crossbow Grand Slam. George's 10th Stone Sheep came in August 2022 in British Columbia, and his 10th Rocky Mountain Bighorn was taken in Alberta in October 2022. This Bighorn was George's 47th North American ram, and it's worth mentioning that George's Shotgun Grand Slam was his 6th different method of take for a Grand Slam. That completes all of our Grand Slam awards for this year. We'd now like to ask anyone who's ever achieved a Grand Slam to please stand and once again be recognized for achieving your Grand Slam milestone. And let's all welcome the 2023 Grand Slammers. Let's give them all a big round of applause.